Pedro from A&P-REACTS. I'm here today with Chris from LIK to talk about Misanthropic Breed, out September 25th on Metal Blade Records. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing good. I want to start off by talking about the title of this record. All right. So when I first saw the title of the record, I was like, I've heard this before. And then the more I listened to the album, in the back of my mind, I'm like, where have I heard these two words together?
Yeah.
And I couldn't let it go. I'm listening to the album, I'm enjoying the album, but every single time I'm like, where have I heard these two words? And then it hit me, and it's Entombed Wolverine Blues.
Yeah.
Now, was this a nod to Entombed and to Wolverine Blues?
No, actually, it's pretty funny that you say that because I had those two words just popped up in my head. Like I always think about titles, and for songs or whatever. I always have these going around in my head, doing making riffs and lyrics, and all the time. So, and these two words just popped up, and I was like, they sound like you. This is really familiar, but it's fucking cool. So I was like, and I'm a huge Entombed and Dismember fan. Obviously, I've been since I was since I started listening to them when I was like 14 or whatever. But and then I presented it to Thomas when we started writing for this album, and I was like, I have an idea for for the title track. Okay, sure, go ahead. He's used to it, so he's like, so what is it? It's Misanthropic Breed. Sounds cool. And he didn't, react to it at that moment either. So as time went on, we just came down to the rehearsal space one day, and Thomas was like, you know what? Misanthropic is like Dismember, and the Breed is like, Chaos Breed, like Entombed. Yeah, well, I think, to be honest, is actually, it's been in the back of my head for, forever. And then I, just like you again, I went into the car, went home, and started listening to Entombed and listening actually to Wolverine Blues, and there it is, there you go. But I was pretty satisfied that Thomas was like, but Misanthropic is like Dismember. Yeah, I know, but Misanthropic, I think that Entombed is singing Misanthropical Breed, and I just went for Misanthropic Breed. But there was no, no pun intended or whatever, and there was no, it just came to my mind, and I thought it was cool, and it suited the meaning for the way that I have been feeling lately. Writing lyrics, it suits the way of the world today. It's really so, well, you got everything in a package there. You got it Dismember, you got Entombed, and it all comes together in some weird way. But I love the title. I have to be honest, I really like it.
With the rest of the album, when you look at the tracks on the album, the title of the tracks, the lyrics on the tracks, the way the album sounds, I think the title fits like a glove.
Thanks. Yeah, me too. It was really like just a fluke. Kind of, it's like, yeah, fuck, that's really cool, because sometimes when you talk to friends, and they're making records, it's like, we don't know what the title's gonna be, and we don't want to be, because bands today is like, I don't know if you've noticed it, but it's not so common anymore that the title is actually a song on the album anymore. It's just a
title.
It's just a title. But I think, not that I'm not a huge fan of making myself theme records or whatever, because I don't think it's suitable for death metal anyway. So, and it's hard as fuck. But those who can and do it, they do it great and well. And I bow my head to those guys. But I think in some way, I don't know, I'm not speaking for myself, but I think it's kind of cheesy to have the title track and have a song on the album. But now we have it, but it's just I mean, it's just music. So, and that's, I don't know what you can call it, but it's some mellow whatever that, and we didn't have a title for it, and everybody in the band said, oh, let's name it Misanthropic Breed. And I was, I was really not for it, but okay, let's do it. But
It has a little bit of an old school touch to it, for sure.
yeah,
And which goes with the album. And I wanted to ask you, how is the creative process behind an album like this? How do you guys work out the creation of the songs, the creation of the album? How is that process for you?
the process is always the same. It's Thomas and myself. I mean, Thomas and I started this band, and therefore we started writing music, and we clicked from the beginning. I mean, before we even started LIK, we played together in another band that I played with, because I needed him to be our sound guy. This is just a side story, but I needed him to be a sound guy for us. And then it turned out he's standing there on stage playing guitar anyway. And we just clicked when we started jamming. Everything just, it went so smooth. I mean, I think we made the first 3 songs on the first album like in 1 or 2 weeks. It was just bam, bam, bam. So we just continue writing. And the process is mostly Thomas is making a lot of demos, and I'm making tons of riffs. Most of the time they suck, but some of them are good, and I send them over to Thomas, and he puts his input to it, and he said, yeah, I think that's cool, we can work something out with that. And he sends something to me, and I say, okay, this is cool. And we go down to the rehearsal space, put it together, start to rehearsing, and mostly most of the time when he's made a demo, we go from there and try to learn that demo song, and then we just rearrange. And when we start to have like maybe, I don't know, somewhere in between, let's say 5 songs that we think are pretty good, skeletons like we call them, skeletons, just embryos or whatever, then the other guys comes down to the rehearsal space, and we go through them, and if they're okay with it and they think it sounds cool, and they put their input to it, and we just I think we're pretty I don't know how to say it, but I would say we're pretty lucky that we can be making music today like a band, like a proper band. I mean, we are 4 members living in the same city, and we rehearse. I mean, we meet up, and we just throw ideas back and forth, and everybody's satisfied, more or less. Nobody's 100% satisfied anyway, but that's why bands keep going, right? But so, and then after like we have rehearsed some of that songs, we just continue writing, and then sometimes somewhere in between there we decide, are we going for 10 songs, or are we going for 8, or are we going for 12? This time around we actually said, fuck it, let's just, if we're on a roll, let's write. Just write. If we have 15 or 25 songs, okay, that's gonna be a fucking pain in the ass to choose in between what we, but it came, all those songs that are on the album are the actual songs, so it was that was that. So it's a pretty old school way. I don't know if you want to call it that, but it's pretty simple. I mean, we rehearse, we throw it back and forth, make riffs and whatever, and sometimes it's like we just tweak them a little bit, or some songs are going fast for like 2 or 3 months, and then we come back to rehearsal, but I can't feel it. I can't feel it. We have to do something. Yeah, let's just, Thomas and I are pretty quick, and when we get tired of the song, it's like, let's just throw it away. But then Nille comes in and he says, no. Let's try and play this really fucking slow. Like, for instance, that song Deranged from the Carnage album. Mm-hmm. That was a mid-tempo, kind of fast song, and we were about to throw it because we thought it sucked. We didn't feel it. And he was actually coming in and saying, let's play it slow. And we did, and it turned out cool. But this time around, it was not so much of the changes. Pretty much, we rehearsed really, really much on these songs for this album this time around. So we were kind of tired of the songs, to be honest. I mean, we were done and ready to enter the studio already in January. So, and we went in March. So, but it turned out good. Didn't have that same vibe and feeling that we've had on the two first records because then we entered a proper studio, and this time we didn't.
I was going to ask you something about the sound on this record because I thought it was a little bit different. But having said that, I felt that it worked really well for the overall feel that the album has. And feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But when I was listening to the album, I felt that the guitars and drums almost were coming at you in two different lanes. The sound didn't feel merged to me. It felt like you had the drums on one lane and you had the guitars on the other lane. And you could totally hear the separation between drums and guitars, which gave almost a very punk feel to the overall sound of the record. But when you look at the lyrics in the album and the overall energy that the album has, it works out extremely well. It makes the album more raw. Do you see it that way, or in your mind you feel the album sounds different from that?
Yeah, first of all, thank you. That's really cool that you noticed things like that, because I think the whole sound this time around I agreed, it's different. I mean, it's still death metal, but I mean, we've been working with Lawrence since day one, and he's a fucking magician when it comes to, and he's so zoned in, if you will, when he's doing it. And this time around, he said, "This is going to be the best album sound-wise you've ever made." And the same goes for me. The best I ever recorded. I think it was a little bit of a competition thing for him, just because that we had the fact that we had to track it down in our rehearsal space. I mean, it's not the best of locations to do that, if you ask me. But I think when it comes to, like you say, they're in different lanes. I don't really know what approach he had to it, but I think also that I agree with you. Like, it feels like the guitars are in one lane, and there's me kind of in the middle, and the other guitar is on my right side, if you will. And then you have the bass. The bass and the drums are in the middle, and just
exactly. I thought that's the point.
And I think that the guitar. Now we're talking nerds style here, sound wise, but it's cool to talk about it in these aspects, because it's like, I think so as well. The bass, the drums are coming like it's supposed to be in the middle, like a fucking tank, and then you have the guitars coming from the sides and just putting like spikes into the sides. And but to be honest, I think also that a good thing that Lawrence has done from the beginning is always that the bass takes a lot of space in the sound of our sound. It's really up there, and you can really hear it, and I think that's cool, because I mean, when you have a good bass player like we do in UK, it's like, why not? And I mean, it's pushing the drums, and Yukin and myself are playing really well together as well. So as soon as there are some small things I do with my double kicks, he's always there to push it forward. Everything gets more. It's more of a clear sound this time.
Yeah, it makes it more amplified, but it's still very clear.
Yeah, but it's still aggressive.
It's still aggressive. And what I was saying is, I didn't feel, sometimes when you listen to a death metal album, it's hard for you to determine where's the drum coming in, where's the bass, because everything just becomes this huge wall of sound coming at you, and you can differentiate the forest from the trees. Everything is just massive. Yeah. And on this album, it's still heavy as hell, but you could totally tell what element is doing what and what is coming at you when you're listening to it, which makes the overall sound more defined, but it doesn't take anything away from the heaviness that the record has.
No, I agree. The thing this time as well, I think, has some little aspect to it, is that I actually used a different kind of crashes this time around, because the crashes can tend to like eat up the vocals, for an example, and also that the guitars get a little too how do you say, too sharp, It's like, even though it's HM2 pedal and all that, they can get a little too sharp, and that's because of the cymbals can be like really, you know, they're cutting through, and it makes it too edgy. And this time it's like they're still like metal and power crashes, but they're thinner. Now this is total nerd level, but I think that Lauren said something about they're pretty mellow, because the first mix we got, I couldn't hear it, and I was like, I can't hear the cymbals. I couldn't even hear the hi-hat or the ride, and that's pretty important to me. I mean, come on, I'm a fucking drummer. I want to hear what I'm doing. I'm sweating my ass off here. But and then he just put them a little bit higher in the mix, and then I think it's perfect. Now it's perfect.
You hit the nail on the head. Like when I was listening to the album, I already recorded a review for the album. I haven't posted yet, but I already recorded the review, and I refer to the guitar sound as meaty and grimy. It has that meatiness, but it's also grimy at the same time. But it doesn't have that driving, penetrating sound. It's more robust, if you will. Now, on the drum side, it's funny that what you mentioned, because when I was listening to the album, I was expecting the album to be a lot heavier from a drum perspective, almost overpowering, like you said, overpowering everything. And in this record, it's not. The drums are still heavy, but they're allowing everything else to also have its moment in the sun, if you will.
Yeah. Because this time around, also, I had a totally different approach to what I was supposed to play on the songs. Because I said to Thomas when we were making the songs, I was like, this time around, I love filling. I love the filling and all that stuff. And I never been known as a drummer that I don't have fast feet. I'm not a Pete Sandoval speedy kind of guy. I just hit it like I mean it. And I mean, my influences are Dave Lombardo and Nick Anderson when it comes to death metal, period. I mean, those two are my foundation in death metal drumming anyway. And I said, this time around, maybe I shouldn't do, because I tend to sometimes feel that I do a little bit too much filling. You know what I mean? It's like, that fill doesn't have to be there. Okay. You don't have to do that beat there. This is me talking to myself. and I was like, I want to back off a little bit. Let the songs breathe more. Let the riffs, you know, let the riffs take more space. And because I think they were good enough to not just to try to hide them with a fill somewhere. You know what I mean? I mean, even though it's not always intentional, but you can, like, in the back of your mind, you can just feel this riff is not that cool because it needs some filling here. But so I stepped back. Actually, I'm playing more, I wouldn't say more in the pocket, but it's more laid back.
Yeah.
And first, when the record was done, I almost panicked. I was like, this fucking sucks. These are the most boring fucking drums I've ever tracked. Fuck, nothing is happening. There's nothing here. It's totally dead. And I was like, fuck. And then I spoke to Thomas, and Thomas was like, but don't you remember you said yourself that you wanted to be more laid back? And this is perfect, man. You're putting in the fill when a fill needs to be there. I mean, you play this, it's perfect. I wouldn't ask for anything more or less, because you don't need to do more. You don't have to prove anything. No, that's true, but it's more fun. But I'm thinking out of a, drummer's perspective. And then I just had to sit back and just listen to it a couple of times. And then after a while, let's say 2 months maybe, I was like, it's cool. I mean, I played it to some friends that I've been friends with for ages, that I started some death metal bands when they were like, I think it's cool, man. It's really laid back, but you're not doing anything, you're not exaggerating anything or overdo anything. It's like you just play exactly what the songs need. So I was like, I hope it's enough.
Yeah, I think it is. For me personally, as a listener listening to the record, the thing that I enjoyed the most about the album was the approach. Because normally when you're looking at a death metal album, specifically an album like this that has a very old school feel to it, you normally are driven by the drums. The drums are the conductor of the sound. And then the guitars have this penetrating, almost like a knife, like piercing through.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how everything comes at you, which becomes almost repetitive because it becomes every single song starts to almost sound the same. And by the time you get to the end of the record, it's like, well, that was a great album, but I can't even remember one song out of all of them, right?
No, exactly.
The way you guys went with this, the guitars are more the conductors, and the drums almost feel more like the bass line, like the foundation. So because of that structure, the songs have a difference between them. When you listen to the album, you can tell which song is the first one. You can tell which song is the last one. They're not repetitive from that perspective. So I think your approach worked perfectly for this record.
Yeah, thanks, man. I was first I was like, like I said, is this gonna be enough? Is it gonna be brutal enough? Is this like, because when we write, we always have this rock and roll Metallica approach to a songwriting. It should be simple to listen to it. You don't want to bore the listener, and the listener is even us. I mean, you don't want to get bored. You don't want to have that feeling. You go on stage, you put up your set list, and it's like, so what song are we going to play? We play that. No, that one is boring to play. We don't have those songs anymore. Now we have 3 records. Now we have it's the other way around. It's going to be. We've already talked about it. It's going to be a fight. It's going to be a fight when we start playing live again. It's going to be a fight on which songs is going to be on there. But what I'm saying is that a really important thing for us that we want to put out there is the songs are going to be simple. It has to be simple because you don't want to, like you say, you don't want to be boring. You don't want to bore an audience with what song is this. I can't really hear it because sometimes you can listen to a band that you really, really like, especially when it's come to grind. When there's bands that have a lot of grind in their stuff and you see them live, it's like, they say the title. I suck at remembering titles anyway, but it's, I remember. Oh, I recognize this riff. Oh, I love this song, and it's like, oh, I can't hear it because it's like, it's just like you say, it's like this wave of sound just comes at you, and sometimes live it's even worse. I mean,
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and you feel like you've been, struck by lightning or whatever. I don't know how getting dragged under a tank or something like that. It's like it's really overwhelming because I mean, for how long should if you get a question, how long should a death metal concert be live? To be honest, for how long can your brain and your ears manage
process
to?
It.
Yeah, because that's what you have to do after you got to process it. But during the show, for how long? I would say maximum, depending on the band, is like maximum like 45-50 minutes. Yeah, I would say. Because it's like sometimes when we played, it's like, oh, you have an hour 20 minutes, but nobody wants to listen to us for an hour 20 minutes. I wanna get the people leaving this place, and we played for 50 and they felt it like we played for 20 minutes.
Yeah, and they want
what more. I mean, they want more. I want to leave them wanting more. It's like, you played too short, man. No, we played an hour. Yeah. Really? Yeah, it felt like 20 minutes. That's a perfect show, because then they're not too tired and they can go home and they can process it. Yeah. And that's really important. And if you then, that's what I'm saying, if you have songs that are simple to listen to, and everybody grew up listening to, whether they will or not, rock and roll built songs is always going to be there, and that's what everybody has grown up listening to. And I think that everyone can how do you say, relate to that. Because it's like, okay, now here comes the chorus. Oh, they did a bridge there. Oh, nice one. Oh, now comes the chorus, and then back to the. So it's, you can still, you can play around a lot with it, just having the rock and roll song building approach and have fun with it, anyways. But it all comes down to how good are the riffs. Yeah, so
I agree 100% with you. You hit the nail on the head. And the last question I want to ask you is, after we talked all of this about the sound, like we completely nerd out about the sound of this record, which is I'm 100% fine with, because that's how I approach an album. I like to break it down, all the different elements of it. What are your expectations, and perhaps the expectations of the band, for this third album?
The expectations, I hope that we had really good response on Carnage, and I hope the response to this one is going to be even better. And I hope that it's still just gonna continue to make people happy, because I mean we're having fun when we play live, and when we are in the studio, and when we are making songs, we're having fun. I mean we don't have this approach being a mean ass death metal band. You know, first of all, we're too old for that. We've already gone through all that shit. I mean, it's death metal. You can't. There's no seriousness in it, to be honest. And I want people to understand that, because this time around, just like a side note, we haven't done it before on the two first records. We didn't release our lyrics, but we did it this time. And why? Just because we were pretty satisfied this time around. It wasn't too cheesy. I mean, it's still death metal lyrics, but there are more.
Some more substance.
Yeah, exactly. Some more substance, some more consistency, and there is actually a little bit of the lyrics. Most of the lyrics I wrote. I wrote the most of the lyrics on this album, and Thomas as well. But I've tried to keep a little bit of a thread through it. But there's still these war lyrics. There are serial killers. There are, all the content you need on a death metal album.
I was just going to say that all the prototypical death metal lyrical content.
Yeah, exactly. But I just want people to, when they listen to us, a smile on their face and feel, I don't know, energetic or whatever. Yeah, I mean, from what I understand, there's now this time around, people have listened to the singles that we released. A lot of people are working out to it. I went to the gym and I listened to Decay. Man, fuck, that was good. I did some reps, man. I didn't thought I had in me. And I was like, oh, cool. So we're turning into a gym band. I don't know, but it's pretty cool. I couldn't myself. I would be too swallowed up listening just to I mean, it's working out to death metal. I have a hard time seeing that. I mean, Hatebreed, yeah, for sure. It's workable and doable, but LIK, okay, cool. But I just hope people will like it, and so far it seems like most of them do it. They like it, and we get some new fans. And I mean, this fucking pandemic that is all over us here and destroying everything for everyone. It's ridiculous. I mean, I saw some posts earlier today that some bands haven't been playing since it's 7 months ago, and some played their last show in January. We played our last show, I think it was last year, November, something like that, or maybe December. I don't remember, but it's been way too long. I mean, we had this tour planned now in November, doing a European tour, but it's been canceled. We're about to have our release show, and now in October, I think it's going to be canceled, even though it's in Sweden. But for myself, I don't want to play for like 50 sitting people. That's not death metal. That's gonna be it's gonna feel weird, man, having people sitting down.
It's the same idea of people like within their cars, right? Like I last show that I went to was in February, was Soulfly.
Yeah.
And I'd rather have that memory of that show for a long time than to ruin that memory by going sit in my car and watch a band play on the stage, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's like my wife, she sometimes I'm enjoy looking at, live DVDs or whatever, and she's like, I can't watch this. Oh, but it's but you like this band. I can't watch it. It's on TV. There's no feeling to it at all. There's no feeling at all. I can't watch a live DVD. Okay, but I can do that. But I understand what you're saying, and that's the same go what you're saying. Sitting in a car, looking at a band live. No. I don't want new fans or whatever, or fans period to see us for the first time in a long time sitting down. We're there too. I mean, we always write, see you in the next town. Let's join us in the reptile dance, like and Tomb's all singing about. But I mean, dancing, you can't dance sitting down, right?
It's very difficult.
The only metal guy that's sitting down and making it look cool, it's Jeff Becerra, but he doesn't have a choice. But he's the only one getting away with that. I mean, because he doesn't have a choice. All the others, we do have a choice. I mean, sitting down, come on, not for me.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that.
But who knows? Who knows?
We just have to write it out.
Yeah, hopefully it's gonna be over. But I think the world has changed. I mean, considering, because people are still scared, really scared. It's like, we're living in Stockholm, the capital of Sweden, and some that are living outside of Sweden in other cities is like, I don't want to go to Stockholm. Why? It's the capital. It's filled with people, and you all have that disease. You just don't know it. It's just, But
it's kind of like we're moving back into the dark ages again. But it's scary times, and I think that, at least the fact that you guys are releasing the album and not pushing the album to 2021, I think that's good, and I applaud the bands that are doing that, because from a fan's perspective, we're at home. We need something. We need something to hold on to. We need some light at the end of this immense tunnel. Yeah. And you guys putting out new music does that for us. It gives us that light. I mean, we may not be able to see you guys perform, but at least we can listen to new material.
Yeah, and I think that's important, because we actually got that question. So why do you want to release an album? Why not? Exactly like you said. I mean, people are still alive. They're sitting at home. I mean, they're bored as fuck. Why not release some new music? You can still listen to it. I mean, at the end of the day, there will be a day when they can see us live or whatever. And that, I mean, we have been discussing back and forth if we were to do this live stream thing, but I don't know. It depends on how long this fucking pandemic thing is going. Because you can imagine yourself standing in a studio or whatever, if we record, or I don't know, live stream from our rehearsal space. It's gonna be like a rehearsal. I mean, where's the feeling? I mean, we get the energy from you guys from the stage. I mean, our favorite place to play any given day is like on smaller clubs. That's the best. It's unbeatable. I mean, I play festival for sure. It's fun. I mean, play live is fun. I love doing that. But the clubs, the small clubs, and you get that energy. You sweat together, and there's this screaming, and it's just that.
There's a bond.
Yeah, that raw pureness. It's like, it's unbeatable. I mean, you're on a high after that. It's like, everybody's been on a tour, and when you come home, it's like, damn, it's silent, man. What should I do now? Oh, back to work. Okay.
It's hard.
Yeah, I miss it. Like you can hear. I miss it.
I can hear it in your voice, and I can hear it in your words.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate you taking time to speak with me about the new album, Misanthropic. Breed. Once again, I want to remind everybody, it's out September 25th on Metal Blade Records. Go pick it up. It's really a kick-ass record. And in a year that's been a lot of great death metal, and there's been a lot of great music, this album ranks in my top 5 albums of death metal for the year. It's really well put together.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you very much. Yeah. I look forward to the 25th myself. I mean, it's been ages since we put this down and tracked it. It's March. Where are we? In September? Now we're in September, so it's been a while. So the wait will soon be over. Thankfully. Yeah. No, thanks for supporting LIK and showing interest, and great interview, man. That's cool questions. Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Yeah, you too, man.
Take
Cheers.
care.